Hello everyone, welcome back to my tutorial series. Sorry I've been absent for a while. I've had some real world stuff with my house burning down and some other crazy things going on, but I'm back and ready to start making tutorials for you guys. So in this module we're going to be covering how to make a walking follower this time, as per request from the Discord. So as you can see, we have both the flying follower here and the walking follower, and he updates to us no matter where we go. He'll keep running towards us. So let's get into how to actually make it. So here I am back in the blank project, or the tutorial series project. What we're going to do is we're just going to find our, well, first things first, actually, we need to change back to the walking class here. So let's go to third person, print third person character. Let's make sure this is all working properly. It looks like our camera's inverted since we had the flying player. So what we're going to do to fix that, for now, instead of going into the settings and changing our input, we're just going to find this lookup event, and we're just going to inverse it. So times it by a float, and plug that in, and we'll times it by -1. So we're just going to inverse that, and let's make sure all this works. Yep, now we're good. Okay. And if you want to know how to get to this world settings here, you can just go here and go to world settings. And then I normally just drag it into the details panel. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a new AI, and this is going to be of type character, and we're just going to call this BP_walking follower this time, and we're going to give him the skeletal mesh. As you can see, he needs to line up with the arrow, so we're just going to rotate him 90 degrees and then bring him down until he reaches right around the bottom. That should work. Next, we need to give him the animations, so we're going to find the animation blueprint here. So I think it's third person and BP. Yep, that one's the one. And then we can get into actually building this out. But actually, first things first, we need to find our third person character here. And what we're also going to do is go back into our blueprints, back into our AI. We're going to make a new actor class, and this is just going to be called BP_ walking follower target, and we can just leave it blank. We just need an actor for this, and what we're going to do is under the mesh again here, so just like we have these 2 points set up behind the player, we're going to add 2 child actors this time. And these child actors are going to be of the type walking follower target. We can just copy paste those, and then we'll name one left and one right. Left walking target, right walking target. And we're just going to raise them both up by about, hold on here. This one is at 97, so we'll put it at 40. Sounds good. And then this one we'll also put it about 40. And then for the X and the Y, what we're going to do is we're just going to copy these. So I'm just going to take this, actually paste it here. So this one I'm copying was the right, so we're going to make sure we're pasting into the right here. And then drag it down to 40. And same thing with the left, we're just going to copy this, paste it into the left, and bring it down to 40. Compile, save that, and then we need to add the new event for the interface here, which is BPI flying follower talk. I know this name isn't exactly right, but we're just going to essentially copy this and say walking player query. And so essentially all we're doing is we're copying all the same things here. The only thing we're changing is instead of vectors, these are now going to be actors. So we have a boolean, and this says query valid. We have a rotator, and that says rot. And then we have an actor here, and this is going to be left and right. And lastly, we're going to have a float, and this is going to say speed. Awesome. So now we can go into our third-person character and implement this function. So we go to walking player query this time, query valid yes, and just like the flying player query, we can copy this follow camera and we can copy the character movement vector length. So I'm going to paste these in, and then for left and right, what we're going to do is we're going to take both of these, we're going to drag them in, so make sure we match them up here properly, and we're going to say get child actor. Copy this, paste this, and just drag them both in, and then we can clean it up a little. There we go. Cool. So now we are all set up on the player side. Now the next thing we need to do is actually implement this in the walking follower. So to do that, what we can do here is off of begin play. We're not going to need tick or overlap, so we can just delete those. We are going to make sure before we even start here that when we go to class defaults that we're going to say AI placed in world or spawned. So now we can just get the player character, we can promote this to a variable, we can name it player, just like we did with the follower, the flying follower. Most everything is going to be relatively similar. We're going to say is valid, just like before, and we're going to do, instead of the we're going to do the add follower here, and the new follower is going to be self, and then a new timer, set timer by event, promote this to a variable, and we'll call this update, can't spell today, walk target timer. And then we can promote this to a variable, and we can make a new custom event here. And this is going to be called update target tick. And then this is update target tick rate. So the one thing different about this from the flying follower is, since the flying follower was based on locations, this one uses actors, so it's actually a lot more accurate, and we can have a lower tick rate since we don't need to, since it's following a specific actor, for example, rather than tracing down a location. Say our player moves over here, it's still going to keep following that location. Even if we turn around a corner, it's gonna take the shortest path to that player no matter where it is, because it's following the actor rather than the location. So this tick rate can be much longer, so we can put it at like 1 second and still be fine. And this is also how we can save on instructions and optimize our game just a little bit. Not much, but every little bit counts. So now we're going to get our player. We're going to do the walking query that we just made. And query valid is going to be a branch, just like before. And then off of this, we're going to do a little sequence here. And this sequence is going to have 2 events. So the first one is going to be just a simple AI move to. The pawn is going to be self. The destination we're going to leave blank because we're going to be using the target actor. And just like before, we're going to need to make a new function called choose LR. It takes in 2 actors. One's called left, one's called right. And outputs 1. Closest actor. And then we're going to say off of this actor get distance 2, and off of this actor get distance 2, and the other actor is going to be self for both of these. And then so if we're going to plug these into a select, we're actually going to plug these into the select. So we're selecting the actor, and then this is going to be a boolean, and we're going to say, so true, if we trace back true, it's right. So if right is closer, then left is greater. Oh, just make sure we plug that in. Cool. Oh, and we can also make this a pure function. And what that'll do is that'll make it so we don't have to add the little white line to it. So we're going to plug that in here. We're just going to plug both of these in and plug in the target actor. Acceptance radius, if you want, you can change this. If you want, you can promote it to a variable. We're just going to leave it as it is. And then next on the sequence, what we're going to do is we are going to actually, here, I need to get from here, and I'm going to say set max walk speed. So we're going to say if this is also going to be a select float, and we're going to say if the player is so yeah, we're going to get the player, and we're going to say get distance 2 again, and other actor is going to be self, and if the distance to the player is greater than, we can promote this to a variable, say double speed distance, and we'll set it to like 1,000. If he's more than 1,000 units away, then we'll give him a 2 times speed multiplier. We'll just put it at like 600, since base walk speed is at 600, we'll put it at 1,200. So if it's greater than the double speed distance, we're going to pick A, so this one is going to be 1,200, and if he's closer than that to the player, then we'll just give him the player speed. Awesome. So the last thing we need to do is we just need to put a nav mesh in the world. Navigation, nav mesh bounce volume, that's the one. And we're going to make sure, you can only have one of these in the world. You can have multiple, but once they intersect with each other, then you're going to notice some problems, so I recommend just making one decently big one for one of your first projects until you're ready to really start playing around with nav meshes. And just make sure you cover the area that you want to walk around in, and then we'll get into a little discussion over here. Just for fun stuff, let's give him like a nice little material. Give him the rock and then the glowy center. There we go. Now we can place this guy in the world, and if you click on your nav mesh and make sure you're in the viewport here, you can push P and you can see the nav mesh. Just make sure that it's green. These spots where it's not building and these cracks are going to become a problem eventually, but we'll talk about how to fix that in just a second. Let's just make sure this works first. Awesome. So it looks like he's following properly. Looks like he's going to the closer side. Yep. And if I run and run and run, I don't know if I can really get to a point where he goes faster, but cool. Alright, now let's talk about how to fix our nav mesh. Just really quickly, I'll get into this. It's a bit of a complex topic. You can go into the engine settings. So it's building these based on how it builds nav meshes, and it just uses like triangles essentially and tries to piece them together. The quickest and dirtiest fix for this is going to be going into your landscape mode, going to the sculpt, smoothing it out just a little bit. We're going to bring our brush size down a lot. So I know there was a little gap right here. Hopefully that'll even it out. And then there's some funkiness going on over here. Now if we go back into our nav mesh and we see it, all right, then we can flatten this out. There you go. Almost ironed out. You want to make sure that there's no gap at all, because this break is a big enough break for them to completely run around it. So if you just really iron it out, you'll be able to eliminate a lot of these really easily. Oh, it looks like I went too far down. Another way to do it is, it's a bit more complex, but you can go into your project settings, I believe, and navigation mesh, and then these are the settings it uses to actually generate the nav mesh. So by tweaking some of these, you'll change its generation, and that will allow you to make it so it generates properly in the way you want it. And that is probably the best way to go about it. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Take care.